Well, a bright sunny Saturday out here in Oregon. This, I think, is going to be our 11th day of probably over 80-degree weather this year. Anyway, I'm out here at the pond and did a quick clean on the intake filter on my pump. But I got looking around and decided it's time that I clean a couple of the other filters. I'm going to maybe clean that vortex filter over there after a while. I guess I can show you a shot inside. It's been some years since I cleaned it. And anyway, get a shot down in there. And you can see got all kinds of green algae growing in there. They call that string algae. And it's all muddy. So it's pretty well full. I dump the bottom of it out via a drain pretty much daily, but this is all particulate mud and crap that just kind of clogs it up. The other filter that's similar is this 150-gallon stock tank. Anyway, I've already opened the drain and you can see the mess I have inside there. Anyway, so I opened the drain, drained the water out. This matting is sitting up on a frame, probably 8 to 10 inches from the bottom, so the water goes in underneath and flows up through. Get in here a little closer, and you can see it's a fiber, and then I just have strips in between. Those big square holes actually go straight down, the water just flows up through. But the bacteria that creates the biofilter lives in this mesh that's in here. So anyway, I just drained the water out, and I'm going to run some water backwards through it off of a hose that I have hooked to the pump. That way I'm using pond water and I won't kill all the bacteria that makes the filter work. If you use city water, it'll kill all that bacteria, and it takes 6 weeks, 8 weeks to get the filter working again, unless you prime it with some stuff you can buy. I've never used that. I just let these things go naturally. Anyhow, I'm going to grab the hose and start rinsing. First thing I'm going to do here is to grab a little bitty rake here I've got and clean a little bit of this algae stuff out of here. You can see it's sitting on top, it all plugged up with mud and stuff, so I'll go ahead and scoop a little bit of that stuff out of here. And that way when I rinse with the hose, it'll go back down in there a little better. Anyway, it's pretty gross stuff, as you can kind of see. Kind of toss it off in the weeds. And then once I get some of these big goobers out of here, I'm going to rinse it on down. And then the mud and stuff will just go out the bottom drain that I have in this thing. And it dumps out in the yard as well. It's good fertilizer. All the water I'm using here comes from an old garden well that was here when I bought the place. So I'm not actually using any city water. And I just rinse her on down. Anyway, this is the maintenance on this guy. One time I actually took all this filter media out of here and washed it all, each piece at a time, and I found after that it really didn't come out much cleaner than if I just rinse it this way. So that saves me the trouble of putting this whole pattern back in here. And so I don't do it the other way anymore. got a kink in my hose somewhere. See if I can get a little more pressure out of that. This is coming straight off the pump that feeds the pond. So I'm sharing with a whole bunch of other water features. Go ahead and turn something else down a little bit, give me a little more pressure to work with. So it'll probably take me, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe to rinse this down to a decent amount. And then I'll just turn this water feature back on, this filter, via a valve over there in my pump area, and it'll fill back up, keep going, and then the garden well over time will fill the pond back up to the appropriate level. It's been some years since I've done this. You can see all the vegetation, the leaves and stuff that fall in it over the winter and the fall, and they just rot. Someday I'd actually like to incorporate a greenhouse over the entire pond area. That way I could actually probably keep the temperature up warm enough to be able to feed the fish year round. They don't eat below 55 degrees. They aren't able to really digest the food anyway, so they pretty much sleep all winter. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse this down and I'll be back to you. Okay, you can probably hear that. What I have going now, I went ahead and rinsed all that stuff down, and then in order to flush the bottom of that thing out, I basically just turned on the water to that feature. So now that larger white pipe over there, used to be white, actually shoots out sideways in the bottom to swirl the water underneath, and so now it's shooting water out along the bottom and around, and that'll flush that stuff out of my drain. And then once that water starts coming out pretty clear, I'm going to go ahead and shut the drain and let it fill back up. We're still flushing here, and I thought I'd take you over and let you see the drain pipe, if I can find it here, in and amongst the ivy and stuff. It's right down there, below the white one. You can see that water there is fairly dirty. It's coming out here and then it just flows out in the ground, out and feeds the blackberries or whatever. Some of it's running over here into my pump area. But I have down in the bottom of that pump area, I have a drain, a pipe sticking out that runs to daylight off down the hill a ways there. So that way if we ever have too much groundwater in the wintertime, the water's got a way out. It doesn't get up into my electric and stuff down in there. And I've never had a problem. We had a big flood back in '96. And water was running in one end of my pond and out the other end. And I had no problem with my electric down in the hole there because I had that drain in there. And it keeps it out of here. So anyway, I'm about done flushing this. It's starting to clear out a little bit. Still kind of brown, but it's not solid mud anymore. So we're on the fill now. Starting to fill it back up. The drain in this is only about a 1 inch, and the water going in there is on that 1.5 and under pressure. You can see the water's coming up now through the filter, starting to bubble up through there. And it doesn't take long to fill this tank, so we'll see how we do. And you can see all the air bubbles. That's because I have in this filter when I built it, water goes in, it's 1.5, and turns sideways at the bottom and shoots out underneath and swirls, and then the water, comes back up through my filter media. And I have this straw here which goes down to a Venturi that I built. Anyway, you can look up Venturi and see how they work. Basically, you take the larger size pipe and you taper it down to a restriction. You take it into a smaller size pipe and then go back up again to the big one. But anyway, right at that restriction where the water speeds up, it will actually suck air all the way down to the bottom into that Venturi. And that way it mixes the water with the air, which helps this filter work. You see that water in there is kind of dirty. It'll settle out probably an hour, it'll be clear. But anyway, it's just about up to the point where it spills out there. You can see the, if I can do this, that little slot right there is where it spills out and over into a little waterfall into the pond. And it's just about, it's just now starting out of there, so I'll go around. You can see the little waterfall. It just kind of spills out there into these rocks and stuff and flows down into a pool kind of area that I planted some water iris, which are in bloom, actually. They look pretty nice. There's another one there someplace. We got one there. There we go, there's one. And there is another one there. Oh, it's in the dark. It's right there. And I got a couple way over yonder across the pond as well. So anyway, this feature is now back in operation, and will filter the water better than it did. So the next one I'm going to go after is the big vortex filter, and I'll do that next. I'm going to shut it completely off and drain it.